The 29-year-old Brentwood man who has been accused of abducting, brutally R-ing, and then shooting to death 34-year-old Alyssa Lockett, a former Vanderbilt University grad, just moments after she was seen exercising on a popular trail in the Nashville metro area, and witnesses heard her scream, "He's trying to arm me." Paul Park, the suspect in what has been coined the Mill Creek Greenway unaliving of Alyssa Lockett, seems like he's going to mount a defense as he appeared in court earlier today. He's already spoken to an attorney. Seemingly, it is a public defender, at least for now. Whether he'll go and retain private counsel, we don't know yet, but as more details unfold, we will keep you posted here on Alexasrewm. He's currently being held without bond. However, since the death penalty has been confirmed to be off the table, Park is entitled to bond, which will be set at his next hearing, likely in the $2 million range, which, again, not to assume anything, because when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me, right? He is from a pretty wealthy area. That doesn't necessarily mean he's wealthy himself, but Brentwood is a more upper class part of the Nashville metro area. But likely be set in the $2 million range, so whether or not he'll be able to afford it, we'll see, right? In the meantime, he remains locked up in a medical unit on self-unalivement protocol. So very similar to Donna Adelson, right? Park will be in court 1 week from today, so I'm assuming that is for a preliminary hearing. So if it's streamed, or if I can even myself get down to the courthouse, I will keep y'all posted there. Hello, and welcome to Alexasrewm, where we are not lawyers, we are not medical professionals, we are not law enforcement, we are just people. People who have opinions about all things going on in the true crime community, including this disturbing story out of my hometown, Nashville, about this woman who was killed earlier this week on a very popular trail, a trail that I've actually heard of before. My wife and I have actually considered hiking down. I guess we might have to rethink that for a minute. While exercising after witnesses heard her scream, "He's trying to arm me." According to People magazine, Alyssa Lockett, 34, was fatally shot, and police allege a video shows 29-year-old suspect, Paul Park, following her. So there is camera footage, and you can see, I guess this is where the dash cam was. On Tuesday, he was arrested. So this heinous crime, this heinous act took place on Monday. And then 1 day later, 24 hours later, the police scoop him up and make the arrest. So this is happening very, very fast. And usually we don't see things, especially in cases where, I mean, how many times have we heard woman, goes missing after last seen running on a popular trail, right? And it's still very much a cold case. I mean, I can think of at least 100 off the top of my head, right? So this is pretty spectacular that in the event that if Paul Park is which it seems like, is the person who is responsible for R-ing her and shooting her to death, it's pretty spectacular that they were able to get him, bag and tag him as quickly as they were. MNPD Chief John Drake said at the press conference they believe Lockett was exercising on the trail when she was allegedly abducted. Then investigators claim Lockett was walking in the area when Park allegedly emerged from between two parked vehicles, so not from the bushes, but from two parked vehicles, and began following her at a brisk pace. The two soon left the view of the camera. After an unspecified amount of time, witnesses heard, and this is the most eerie part of it all, witnesses heard a woman scream, "Help, he's trying to arm me," per the statement. Now, I don't know if that was picked up on the dash cam as well, or how deep into this overgrown part of the trail. I haven't been to this trail, so I don't know what it looks like. and what degree of separation, how deep it goes. But I wonder if that was also picked up on the dash cam as well too. And I'm sure it was, if it wasn't too far and if she was screaming loud enough, which is just incredibly heartbreaking and disturbing. And my thoughts go out to the parents. I hope, and family members. I hope that they get the justice they deserve. A short time later, Park was seen with blood on his clothes and scratches on his arms as he returned to his vehicle, identified as a BMW sedan, per the statement. I mean, unless they can pinpoint, hey, there was somebody else involved too. I mean, I don't see how it couldn't have been him, right? I mean, this is pretty damning evidence, if you ask me. Drake said at the press conference that authorities believe Park allegedly abducted Lockett and took her into an overgrown area and attempted to SA her. Per the MNPD press statement, Park was allegedly spotted in the overgrown area where Lockett's body was later found. Monday evening, police received dash cam footage from a local resident whose vehicle was parked at the Greenway trailhead. And it's amazing when you see people in the community just stepping up like that. Because I can't even imagine how afraid they might have even felt coming forward, right? And sharing like, hey, I was there too. I can't imagine. What do you do in a situation like that, right? The footage showed a clear image of Park's BMW, and police used that information along with a partial tag provided by another witness to track down Park. Lockett graduated in 2017 from Vanderbilt after studying neuroscience. There were a lot of people in her life that loved and admired her. This is just a horrible tragedy, her friend Daniel Frazee told WKRN. She was just incredibly kind to me, and the neighbors adored her. So this is from her neighbor. Fleet Feet Nashville, a resource and training provider for the local running and walking community, is organizing a group run and moment of silence on Wednesday evening. So last night, this is also the hotline, National SA hotline, if you need it. And I will include that, of course, in my description box below. But I want to dive in before we get into the more recent updates of this case, and I'm sure a lot more is going to come out. I want to jump into the press conference from the other day.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here. All of Nashville and we in this police department was shaken by Monday's incident, the tragic murder of Elisa Lockett on the Mill Creek Greenway in Old Hickory Boulevard. From all the information that we received from the investigation, these two people apparently did not know each other. We believe that Elisa was apparently exercising on the Greenway when a man abducted her into an overgrown area and attempted to sexually assault her and then shot her. In fact, someone heard her yell, "Help, he's trying to rape me," before gunfire was heard. A homicide and specialized investigation detectives worked throughout the night and today to identify the man responsible for this crime. The first break came Monday night when a local resident provided us video footage from a dash cam in his vehicle that gave us great video of the suspect, subsequently identified as Park, and his vehicle on the Greenway trailhead. The video was clear. It gave a very vivid description of the car, and there was also a witness there that gave us a partial tag of the BMW. Both of those were very significant in this case. And also, while we were vetting this information through all of our sources, through our detectives and law enforcement partners, we got another break in this case from homicide detective Shannon Forsythe. Shannon Forsythe was reviewing the photograph and identified Mr. Park from a suicide investigation that she had in December of 2021 of Park's identical twin brother.
Well, that's extremely curious to me because my inclination would have been, oh, twin brother. pin it on the twin brother, but I mean, I don't know if the twin brother is still alive or he did, in fact, commit self unalivement, but how crazy is that? So, because of this former incident with his twin brother where he tried to unalive himself, they were able to quickly identify who he is because I guess the name was in the system already, right?
And so we were able to follow up on that information. Our Titans team, undercover detectives, set up on Park's house in Brentwood and followed him and took him into custody shortly after warrants was issued for his arrest at 3 p.m. Less than 24 hours after this unimaginable crime. I hope this gives Nashville some peace of mind and some comfort that this person can't harm anyone else. I've been asked today whether LPRs would have made a difference in this investigation, and my answer is yes.
So LPRs, in case you guys don't know what that means, license plate readers. I'm sure other states have rolled that out, but this has been especially a hot topic during the election season around here, is whether or not this is something that is going to help reduce crime in Nashville, in the Nashville metro area. The bill already got passed and they've been slowly starting to integrate that more and more. A lot of people think it and feel it's an invasion of privacy. My argument for it is if you already use a phone, right, an iPhone or any sort of smartphone, they're already tracking your data. So, I mean, I don't know if it's going to make solving crimes a whole lot faster in the turnaround time, 10 times at a lightning speed, and it's going to protect more people. I don't know. I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing. I mean, it's just as simple as looking up somebody to see if you have any ancestors, right? They take your DNA. Oh, do we have anybody who matches with your DNA from your ancestry, right? Any familial ties that we already have in the system. So I don't know. It's been pretty controversial here. A lot of people aren't really in favor of it, but I'd love to know, like those of you guys who live in states where it is incorporated, what are your thoughts, feelings about it?
Yes. Park lived close to an intersection where we plan to put LPRs once they're funded and we're able to use them. This would have given us information that would have been a lot more timely and given us an opportunity to deal with this sooner rather than later. And you've heard me say it many times, and I'll say it again. LPRs make us safer. While everyone is here, I also want to address last night's arrest of two 24-year-olds who had gang affiliations, who took part in Saturday night's gunfire on Jefferson Street.
So this was the TSU shooting that I have reported about on my community tab. I'm not going to play the rest of the press conference clip because I want to keep it dedicated to Elisa. So sorry, I pronounced her name incorrectly earlier. I assume that her name is Elisa, not Alyssa. So want to make that call out and that correction there. But that was a clip from the press conference that was given by Chief John Drake. And again, I mean, 24 hours is a pretty fast response time into a case like this. I mean, it happened so fast. It's not like this was a slow buildup of events where action could have been taken and it could have been prevented. As unfortunate and tragic as it is, it just seems like that was not this case. It was so fast and they responded as quickly as they possibly could. And kudos to them. And I hope that as more and more unfolds, we'll get more and more clarity into what exactly happened, right? But biggest takeaways were it didn't seem like Paul Park had any kind of affiliation or relation to Elisa. So we rule that one out. So she just happened to be, I guess, his stalked prey. Was he stalking her for months at a time, weeks on end? Was he watching her routine? And this is why you hear from time and time again so many people in these cases talk about Change up your routine. Instead of taking the same path every single time, which I am so guilty of. I always take every time I go to my favorite coffee shop, right? Even though it's in the morning, right? Nobody's usually lurking around. It's on a busy street, right? Very active, very residential, and I feel totally comfortable and safe. You never know, because the moment you let your guard down is the moment that people sense that vulnerability and they go for it and they go for the attack, whether it's in the daylight or it's at nighttime. So changing up your routine, even though we've heard that a million times, it is important. Sometimes these things, though, still can't be prevented. And I'm curious if, with the LPRs in place, if it would have led to an even faster arrest than the 24 hours that it took them to respond to something like this. But what say you? I'd love to hear what you think about LPRs in the comment section. But I wanted to show you now this clip of some of the... I don't know if they were witnesses themselves or if these are folks who frequent the same trail that Elisa did on Monday. And it gives you a little bit more insight into the area, what it looked like, and how easy it would have been for somebody, for Paul Park, I guess, to be allegedly creeping or lurking between these two parked vehicles and attack somebody like Elisa in seemingly broad daylight. I mean, 5:30 p.m. is when the alleged incident took place, and 5:30 p.m. It's still not. We're almost at 5 o'clock here, and the sun is still very much shining bright. So, I don't know. What say you?
You hear all the wildlife noises. You hear the squirrels, the chipmunks. I mean, there's always some sort of, something cracking in the brush, but got to be even more cognizant of my surroundings.
There's more to consider the next time people exercise on the Mill Creek Greenway. Sadly and shockingly, a woman was murdered near the Greenway early Monday evening.
I just can't even imagine. So scary.
This afternoon, this man, Paul Park, was put in handcuffs. Police believe he attacked 34-year-old Alyssa Lockett and pulled her into these trees. Metro Police said incredible investigative work.
I guess some people pronounce it Alyssa, some people pronounce it Elisa. I would love to hear from friends and family once that's pronounced so I can get her name correct. But for now, I'll continue to go with Elisa, just because that's what the police chief used.
Park led to the arrest of Park, a 29-year-old from Brentwood. They walked him through the front doors of Metro Police headquarters. On Tuesday, we saw police working hard with a canine at the crime scene, locating and removing evidence from the area where Lockett was shot in the head.
And it's heartbreaking. So,
I mean, just look at this aerial view again.
Where Lockett was shot in the...
I mean, this looks pretty, in the sticks. I mean, again, this isn't far from where I am. And it seems like even if there are people walking up and down the trail, depending on the time of day, I guess it could be considered more isolated. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have frequented Mill Creek Greenway. Let me know, but I've never been there, and obviously now I'm gonna probably avoid it like the plague. But it's just sad. It's a case where it's like we shouldn't, especially as women, we shouldn't be afraid to go out and about and walk around, right? Nobody should. We should be able to be free, be independent, to go where we want to, whenever we want to, without having to bring mace or bring a dog or bring a buddy, right? To ensure that we stay safe. It shouldn't be like this, but unfortunately, this is the reality that we live in today.
The head.
And it's heartbreaking. So,
it's just such a serene setting.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be a nice place, and yeah, especially, I mean, that close to a neighborhood, that close to a playground.
This is a place that people expect to be quiet and trouble-free. And now people that use the Mill Creek Greenway are thinking twice.
This is my dog, Shay. I take her to the Greenway with me every time. I don't go alone, ever. But it's unfortunate that we have to live like that these days.
Metro Police are trying to determine Park's motive for the heinous crime. Lockett, a successful technology professional, was caring and brilliant and had a huge heart, according to those who knew and loved her.
Would never think it'd happen on this type of trail.
In Cane Ridge, Hannah McDonald, News Channel 5.
And it's interesting because he doesn't have any priors, right? He doesn't have seemingly at least a criminal background of some of the same crimes. But you know what? Again, that's not always particularly the case. I mean, sometimes these things are first time offenders. So I'm curious as more and more unfolds, what we'll learn. I'll obviously keep you guys posted here, but I just have a few more updates for you in this case, because unfortunately there's just not a ton of information just yet. The investigation is very much ongoing. They still have to go through a grand jury to first see if there's enough evidence to indict him. As our friend Mark Betterow likes to say, a grand jury can indict a ham sandwich. So we will see, but video places him, so again, this is what we know, places him at Mill Creek Greenway in Antioch with scratches on his arms, blood, yada yada. For now, okay, so this is as of today. He's charged with criminal homicide, but that will likely become more specific as more evidence comes into play. Well, I certainly think first degree because some type of premeditation was involved. Well, yeah, if he was lying in wait, I mean, waiting for somebody, and it could have been anybody. Elisa could have been just happened to be the victim of the day, right? The flavor of the week for this creepy creep. So he said we'll learn much more about the case against Park when detectives testify at the upcoming preliminary hearing, which again is going to be happening exactly 1 week from today. Next Thursday, Metro detectives did recover a GUN at the scene and will try to trace its owner. There will also likely be DNA evidence. I'm certain if, in fact, he didn't wear gloves, are there fingerprints, right, that can be traced back to. If there are any, because there was defensive wounds, was there also blood on the gun as well, too? So was there gunshot residue on his hand? These are all the things that I would have I'd be curious to know, right? Which could help build a strong case for District Attorney Glenn Funk. Now, interestingly enough, you guys think that Norfolk County is corrupt. Well, let me tell you. Let me tell you about our DA, or my DA, Glenn Funk. And what kind of corruption's going on here? Because I said, guys, Norfolk County has definitely opened my eyes pretty wide to corruption in my own area, right? In my own county. So Nashville DA's office made secret recordings, but AG declines to prosecute. What were these secret recordings of? Well, I'll tell you. Nashville District Attorney Glenn Funk's office, in a statement, said it considered the matter closed, but the AG said ethical concerns remain. Davidson County District Attorney Glenn Funk's office secretly recorded criminal defense attorneys and other visitors to the DA's office, according to a scathing Tennessee comptroller report released Wednesday morning. So this was from 3 weeks ago, okay? Via the Tennessean. Prosecutor's office recorded audio of criminal defense attorneys without their knowledge, the report found, particularly in a room defense attorneys were required to use to review evidence in pending criminal cases. So again, this is as soon as 3 weeks ago, and this happened, this attack, and this brutal unalivement to Elisa, took place in the same county. So, again, I told you, you guys thought that Norfolk County was corrupt. I mean, I don't know, is Meatball recording anybody, right? Does he have recordings of Karen Reed talking to David Gannetti and Alan Jackson? The investigative report of Alan Jackson and David Gannetti reviewing evidence, like, geez. The investigative report conducted with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation found former DA employees told investigators it was common practice to turn on the audio and visual recording equipment before defense attorneys arrived and extract the recordings after they left to be provided to the prosecutors or office staff handling the criminal case. So this is our guy. He kind of looks like Jeb Bush a little bit, doesn't he? Investigators spoke to numerous criminal defense attorneys. They told investigators in part they were unaware and no office personnel had ever informed them that the viewing room was equipped with a microphone device capable of capturing their conversations or that they would be audio recorded in the viewing room while examining evidence in a criminal case. And it's like, isn't that even when they're interviewing witnesses too? Like they have to tell them like, hey, like everything we're talking about, it's all going to be recorded. Like, isn't that something that is commonplace, right? That they have to disclose to anybody, anything that goes on, period, right? Privileged information among themselves was often discussed, including statements made by their clients with defense strategies. And they said that they would not have stayed in the viewing room had they known that the viewing room was equipped with a microphone. Of course, because it's like, how can they possibly get a fair trial if the prosecution's sneaking up behind them and saying, oh, hey, well, we know what your next play is going to be, buddy boy, or what you're planning on doing here? I mean, that is just absolutely disgusting and despicable. The investigation suggests the practice may have run afoul of constitutional provisions in Tennessee law, which requires at least one party to be aware of audio recordings of conversations. The comptroller turned over its findings to the Tennessee Attorney General's office and the Tennessee Board of Professional Responsibility. Funk's office, in a statement Wednesday, pointed to a letter from Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti stating that the AG will not pursue any criminal charges following its own investigation. I mean, here we are 3 weeks later, and it seems like his office is back up and running to prosecute this case. Skrmetti in the Wednesday letter said the evidence does not provide sufficient basis for a successful criminal prosecution. Now, I don't know anything about matters like this, and I'm still very much learning Tennessee law. I'm from New York. I'm a native New Yorker, so I'm still trying to get a grip on how all of this works out here, but I'm fairly certain that seems to be a huge freaking deal, and there should be some level of, I don't know, hey, you get fired, right? Like, you don't just get 5 unpaid vacation days like Sergeant Bukwacki back in Norfolk County, or, you know, you get to quietly step down or an early retirement pass, right? I don't know how this is going to continue to unfold, but it seems like, at least from an ethics standpoint, and my lawyer friends, please tell me, like, do you think that, I mean, I don't know what the evidence is per se, aside from, hey, there's recordings. Like, you shouldn't be doing that. I don't know. Would it be enough to bring criminal charges? What say you? This matter is now at an end. As General Funk has always stated, neither he nor his office has committed any crimes or broken any law. This office will continue our mission to support victims, hold offenders accountable, and keep Nashville safe. But Skrmetti in the letter said the investigator's closure does not absolve the DA's office from ethical duties, and that he was particularly troubled by audio recordings in place where defense attorneys converse with clients, especially in the crimes against children room. This practice could, under certain circumstances, implicate a defendant's privilege or Brady rights. Hello? While we have no evidence that these recordings were reviewed or used for any improper purpose, you should consider whether you or your subordinates have any duty to report or disclose past conduct regarding that practice or any other potential violation of your ethical obligations. So this is our Attorney General, Jonathan Skrmetti. Signs pointing to audio recording and obscure placement report were found. Funk told investigators he was aware of the practice recording of defense attorneys since at least the summer of 2022. So I guess he's saying that he didn't set it up and somebody else did, but then who? One of your subordinates? According to investigative report, it appeared dismissive that any attorney would have an expectation of privacy anywhere within the DA's office. I mean, what? Like, hey, just because you're on, like, at our stadium doesn't mean that we're gonna play a fair game here. Like, that, what? What? It's like saying, like all of your conversations with clients in a correctional facility, right? Every time you go visit an inmate and you have a conversation with your client there, that's being recorded. And then from there, the correctional officers can pull that recording and send it to the DA's office, who's responsible for prosecuting your client. That makes absolutely no sense to me. No sense. They're inside the DA's office. They're in an area inside of the DA's office, and you think they have an expectation of privacy. You don't have any expectation of privacy in the DA's office, Fung told investigators. Seems like he's getting pretty hot and bothered. Comptroller found this office posted numerous signs of flagging visitors, of potential visitor surveillance, but scant mention of potential audio recording. Yeah, there's a difference between having a surveillance camera and then having audio recording. Like, investigators found only a single 3-inch sticker near the bottom of one door, which the report notes would likely be missed due to obscure placement. So that's what they're talking about. Like, no, you didn't, boy. And I wonder if this is going to come up in the trial, the potential misconduct of the DA's office. I mean, the same DA that's going to be prosecuting this case. Now, whether or not this is going to happen, I mean, again, this was 3 weeks ago, but apparently he oh gosh, ADA over political issue? In addition to recording defense attorneys, Funk allegedly pressured an assistant district attorney in his office after he learned a family member of the ADA was publicly supporting Funk's political opponent in the 2022 election. See, guys, it's not just Norfolk County. It's here we're cornering people, right? We're cornering our own ADAs, right? Just imagine if Meatball, like, came up to Lally and said, "Oh, are you sending donations now to Jejuna Perkins? How dare you, Lunchbox? I'm done buying your lunch meals. Somebody else can cut the crust off your peanut butter and jelly sandwiches." Like, that's insane. That is insane. I'm not going to read through this whole article because we can go through a crazy deep rabbit hole, but I mean, I saw that a couple of weeks ago and I was like, holy smokes, like, and now with this case, I don't know. I don't know if that's anything that's going to be remotely helpful to the defense case, but it is in fact interesting timing, especially if there's more to the investigation, especially from an ethical standpoint that comes into play. Even when this goes to trial, many wonder if it will be a capital case. If convicted of first-degree M in Davidson County, the death penalty is not on the table. RDA has made it clear he is not going to pursue death cases. Since he's held office, he's never pursued the death penalty. This case won't be any different, said Leonardo. For now, investigators continue to collect forensic evidence and test forensic evidence. Ultimately, the case will go before the grand jury for criminal indictment, followed by a trial. Since the DP is off the table, Park is entitled to bond, which will be set at the next hearing, likely in the $2 million range. And again, but he drives a BMW, so I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that'll be up for collateral for sure if he's broke as a joke, but I don't know. I guess we'll find out, especially if he ends up retaining independent counsel, but he's speaking to a public defender as of now. So we shall see, but $2 million. So if he can post bail or not, I guess we will find out. But like I said, he's going to be back in court next week for that preliminary hearing. I'm going to actually try to get to the courthouse for if it does go to trial for this. I think it'd be deeply fascinating, and I want to, of course, keep you guys up to date with the most accurate and up-to-date information as possible. But as of now, that's all we have in terms of this case. There's not a whole lot of information aside from the fact that Alyssa was running on this trail in Antioch. Paul Park, seemingly having no relation to her, just saw her, spotted her, preyed on her, and she just happened to be his victim of the day. And it's just so sad. And as more and more comes out, I will definitely keep you guys posted here on Alexasrewm. But with that being said, if you want me to continue covering this case, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next update from me. And make sure you hit that like button, because that tells the YouTube algorithm that, yeah, this is newsworthy news. And it is. It is newsworthy news, because I know that there's so many other cases that are being covered very, very widely by a lot of other content creators, and sometimes cases like this that might not seem as exciting, right, or sensationalized and draw the capture the heart of America rights, don't get the attention that it deserves. But at the end of the day, Elisa was a friend, she was a daughter, and she deserves justice. She deserves justice just as much as Karen Reed deserves to get freed, just as much as Sandra Birchmore deserves justice, or Enrique Delgado Garcia. All of them deserve justice, and I hope she gets it, and I will be following this every step of the way. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.